Hello and welcome to Norwood News. Today is Friday, January 13th, and I'm your host, Kristen McDonald. It's great to have you with us as we end another week here in Norwood. This week on Norwood News, Holly Jones explains new stormwater retrofits, the town clerk has important election information, and we'll see what's cooking at the Venice. But first, a petition voted on at town meeting in October 2021 to extend Chief Hayes' retirement from age 65 to 70 has failed. Brian Boudreau has the story.
At special town meeting in October 2021, the body voted to have the Board of Selectmen petition the legislature to extend newly named Fire Chief David Hayes' retirement age from 65 to 70. This would be considered a home rule petition or a request from a city or town to have a new type of power from the state legislature. For example, the power to enact a new tax or regulation or an exemption from an aspect of state law. However, even though this legislation has passed in the Senate previously, the request for Chief Hayes never made it to vote. Selectman Bob Donnelly explains the process and expresses his frustration.
So in October of 2021, town meeting passed a home rule petition, as we did a couple of years before that for Chief Brooks, to extend our ability to keep Chief Hayes on up to age 70. There is a law that would max out age at 65. Home rule petitions are typically put forward by towns to get exemptions from that law, and after subsequent to the town meeting vote, the Board of Selectmen submitted that petition to the state delegation in early, I think late 2021.
Recommended by the Board of Selectmen to authorize the Board of Selectmen to file a petition with the General Court under the Home Rule Amendment to the Massachusetts Constitution to enact legislation in substantially the following form. Provided, however, that the General Court may make clerical or editorial changes of form only to the bill, unless the Board of Selectmen approves amendments thereto before enactment by the General Court, which amendments shall be within the public objectives of said petition, and the proposed act is as set forth in the warrant.
All right, on a counted vote, 64 in favor, 54 opposed, the motion carries.
We were informed, we've had a couple of meetings with our state delegation. We've been following the progress of the bill. It was proceeding through hearing, through a couple of committee reports fairly well, and then about middle of the year, it just stalled in the Senate committee on third reading. And we were informed by the Senate President late in the year that the bill would not get out of committee and go on to vote before the end of this past legislative session. In this instance, town meeting spoke in October of 2021 with an affirmative vote to go forward with this home rule petition, and it is disappointing that our state legislature failed to act on that petition, particularly for such an important public safety position. And ultimately, we're disappointed because when we do go out and search for a new chief, we will be hiring the fourth chief in 5 years for Norwood. And that's and that shouldn't be the case, because we have a chief currently who we were looking forward to serving us for a longer period of time. And that's not good for the continuity of our operations, and we'll hit some snags on the road, but we will overcome them.
Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Bill Plasko, is outraged at the fact that Norwood's petition was essentially skipped over.
I think just at the Selectmen's meeting, the board was mildly to my level of disgusted, and quite seriously disappointed in the representation from our state rep and our state senator in trying to get this bill through. It was a home rule petition. It should have been a slam dunk. As Mr. Donnelly had pointed out, I know that the state approved Police Chief Brooks just a few years ago. The other towns in previous years, as well as this year, have had similar bills regarding their fire chiefs that have passed, and yet for some reason Norwood gets stalled. And on Tuesday night I elaborated on the reasons. I think there was a lot of nonsense going on in the background and people serving special interests rather than the town of Norwood. Everyone knows that we repeatedly tried to contact them, and they dodged us much of the time. And when they finally did talk to us, they gave us a lot of BS, and we knew it. It was very clear what was going on, that they were willing to represent a couple of personal friends who had some personal reason why they were opposing this, and not represent the town, not represent the town meeting. This was stalled in the House. We went around Representative Rogers, and got to the chairman of the third reading there, whose response basically was, this is a home rule petition. This is what the town wants, no problem. And less than 2 weeks later, it had advanced over to the Senate, all without the help of our own representative. When the press tried to speak to them about what was going on, they wouldn't even answer the press, but issued a baloney message of a written response to the press that again said nothing to the merits of what was going on. And I think it's disgusting, as I said earlier, that they have chosen to once again, because it's happened before, work with individuals against the interests of the community that has elected them and asked them to represent us in the State House, and they failed to do that.
Chief Hayes cannot understand how the home rule petition did not pass and feels ignored by Senator Michael Rush and Representative John Rogers.
Michael Rush, our senator, who I consider to be responsible to move things forward, never made an effort to move it. I might add that they never communicated with me throughout this process. Largely, we've been ignored. The senator was clear that there's 8,000 pieces of legislation filed every year, and there's no way they can get them all through. He was basically disavowing responsibility for the bill not going through. I don't believe him. I believe that when we vote for somebody to represent us, he should go in, they should act on our behalf, and they should move it forward. I would have far more respect for the senator if he had gone in, moved it to a vote, and even if he had stood up himself and voted against it, I would respect him more than the way it played out, where there was no vote, there was no accountability, there was no action. It simply died. I'm disappointed. I'm not going to say I'm embarrassed, because I fully realized this was in play when I signed the contract with the town.
Chief Hayes will continue to work through the end of February 2023 until his 65th birthday.
My pet project right now, probably the second most important project to the town of Norwood, is the public safety radio system. We had a great deal worked out, but with the transition to the Holbrook Dispatch intends to take over our public safety radio system and pay for it. So I'm going to save the town that $170,000 that we voted at the last town meeting. We're not going to spend that money. Hopefully we can get Holbrook to do that. That was one of the things I wanted to finish that I didn't get a chance to.
NCM would like to thank Chief Hayes for his years of service for the Norwood Fire Department. The Chief has always provided news and updates for us at Norwood News, and we wish him well in his retirement. General Manager Tony Mazzucco, Acting Director of Community Planning and Economic Development Sarah Dixon Bouchard, and Conservation Planner Holly Jones are pleased to announce that the town of Norwood has received a grant award for an ongoing climate resiliency project. The grant, in the amount of $50,000, was awarded through the Metropolitan Area Planning Council's Accelerating Climate Resiliency Grant Program for advancing green stormwater retrofits. Holly Jones updates NCM on the upcoming project.
The goal is to take when it rains and that rain hits a hard surface like a roof or a driveway or a road, of course, it runs off quickly and is often conveyed away in our underground pipes into the nearest wetland or the nearest stream or river. And in our watershed, it all ends up in the Neponset River eventually. So the problem with that is that rainwater that's hitting a road and getting carried into a pipe is going to travel a lot more quickly, and it's going to pick up a lot more pollutants than if that area was forested or a meadow or a wetland, where it might hit a tree and slowly trickle down, get absorbed into, some of it would get absorbed into soil, and some would eventually sort of filter down stream through the watershed. And so having lots of impervious surfaces means that we end up with more flooding and we end up with more pollutants in our waterways. So these designs are looking to employ some of those natural systems like the tree and the soil that can capture and filter some of that water before it runs off and goes straight into that nearby stream where these pipes discharge to. So we talk about green infrastructure like the rain garden and gray infrastructure like the pipes and the roads that are made out of concrete and steel. And the goal, it turns out that the green infrastructure is much better at treating some of those pollutants like extra nutrients or even like E. coli from the dog poop or the goose poop on the lawn, as opposed to just if the water is going into a pipe. So the two places that we're looking at to design these systems are the Cleveland School and the Savage Center. The Cleveland School is actually right across the road from Ellis Pond, and so that's where a lot of that rainwater runoff ends up when it comes from the Cleveland School. And the Savage Center, the runoff there ends up eventually in Germany Brook, which goes actually also into Ellis Pond as well. The systems will help reduce flooding in those parking lots, as well as being sort of an educational focus to show how that sort of treatment can work.
Jones is particularly excited about this project to help reduce the flooding in these two specific areas and the educational tools it will bring. NCM will be following this project from beginning to end. We'll be right back with Zain and Najah to report school news, Ron with the latest in sports, and we'll take a look at a mouth-watering living local.
Norwood News is your home for all things Norwood. Hosted by Kristen McDonald, this weekly news show brings Norwood to you no matter where you are. From town events to sports games and government meetings, Norwood News is there to get the scoop and bring it to you every single week. Norwood News, your home for all things Norwood.
The Cafe Venice has been a staple in South Norwood for decades. NCM talked to owner Mark Hannon about what it's like owning the restaurant and what he enjoys about what he does every single day.
I've been working here for 28 years. I bought it just 4 years ago the other day. I've been doing this since I was 14 years old. Me and the owner were friends before this. I came to work for him. He gave me the first shot at it. So I figured why not take the shot? Because if I didn't take the shot, I'd regret it for the rest of my life. Basically, it's Italian-American cuisine. We do a lot of veal palms, chicken palms, different Italian dishes. We also have the prime ribs and some American dishes like stuffed peppers to American chop suey to mac and cheese. We do a little bit of everything. You get a great portion for a great price and friendly atmosphere. My staff is fantastic. People seem to like them. I'm a people person. I like to go out and interact with my customers and as well as my staff, like I said before. And I like cooking, I like entertaining, whether it's here or at home or when we go on vacation. We've been doing loads of functions lately. The other side of the dining room over there, we don't use a lot. Staffing issues because of, since COVID, we're short of staff on certain things. And since that has broken up a little bit, I use the other side strictly for functions. I've done weddings over there, christenings, what have you. I had I think it was the whole football team down here, so they took up both sides for the party at the end of the year. I think it was the football team, I forget. There has been lacrosse teams and whatnot in here. Like I said, I've had two weddings over there. Well, one reception and one actual got married here. Football Sundays, we do have special items that we offer at a reduced price. A lot of times it's like sausage, a sub with peppers and onions like you're at the game. Sometimes it'll be chili cheese fries, sometimes it'll be wings, sometimes all of the above, sometimes a steak and cheese sub or egg rolls at a reduced price to get them in, watch a game, have some fun. They get a smaller portion, smaller price. It's just something to munch on and have fun while they watch the games.
Like many new owners, Mark made big changes to the restaurant once he took over.
I took all of this dining room and everything down to the studs and rewalled it, ripped the rugs up, put flooring in, the boots, the tables, same with the bar area, ceilings, bathrooms. I mean, yeah, it was a big to-do.
Mark says business is going well at the Venice, located just a few minutes from Norwood Center.
Down here's a little less, it's called South Norwood. So uptown gets a lot more recognition than some of the small places like this, because I'm the only one down here. It's off the beaten path. So it's a little bit of a struggle because people come to Norwood, they go into the center, they don't necessarily come down here unless they know about it or hear about it through something like this.
The Venice is in the process of getting their website updated, but they still do a lot of posting on Facebook about their daily or weekly specials and upcoming events.
We don't have like a Google site. We do a lot of our stuff via Facebook pages. We're still working on getting like a website up there. There's a Google page, but it's the old owner's Google page, and I don't know how to change that. We're working on getting a different website for that. But the specials are posted each week, sometimes daily, sometimes for the next 3 or 4 days, and it all is via social media, Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that.
If you are searching for a cozy Italian-American restaurant, then look no further than South Norwood, as Mark and the rest of the Venice staff are looking forward to serving you quality food for a good price.
I hear the prime rib is out of this world. I am definitely going to have to get there soon. And now we're going to toss it over to Zaina Najjar with school news.
Hi guys, I'm Zaina Najjar, and let's take a look at some activities happening in our Norwood schools this week. In Norwood High School news, congratulations to seniors Morgan Roach and Kang Nugent for being chosen as NHS Students of the Month. The Guidance Department is presenting a college planning night for juniors and their parents and guardians. It is being held on Thursday, January 19th at 6 p.m. in the NHS Auditorium. The staff will be providing an overview of the college exploration and application process, and 3 college admissions counselors from private and public school systems will also be presenting and answering questions. At the Balch School, the PTO sponsored an enrichment program for their students. The Shine Bright workshop centered on how to create a mindful and stress-free lifestyle in the classroom. Their lessons also focus on kindness, empathy, and inclusivity for all students. The Cleveland School celebrated the 80th day of school with an 80s Spirit Day event. Let's take a look at some classic outfits. Before winter break, the Oldham School second grade friends had a lot of fun competing in the Tallest Snowman STEM Challenge. This fun winter STEM challenge asks the students to build a snowman with just marshmallows and toothpicks. They can do whatever design they want, but they have a limit of time and marshmallows and toothpicks to build as tall of a snowman as possible. So many smiles all around. The Prescott School entered the Scripps National Spelling Bee for the first time this school year. The competition is open to all 4th and 5th graders, and kids have been hard at work studying word spellings, definitions, and parts of speech. At home, students have access to the Spelling Bee app to practice word spellings and hear a wide array of words. The preliminary rounds include spelling out words on whiteboards and spelling them orally. The Prescott School has made a goal this year of providing students with additional opportunities to engage in meaningful academic competition and discuss what it means to set goals and try hard to do their best. We will provide another update at the end of the month when our school spelling bee final round concludes. Congratulations to Rashawn for placing first for 4th grade. January 3rd was a professional development day, and the Coakley Middle School started off their new year with learning about World Savvy. World Savvy educates youth to be responsible citizens and envisions a K-12 educational system that prepares students for success in the global community. At the early childhood level, the professional development for the Little Mustang and Will early childhood staff included a day of collaborative learning focused on equitable literacy. Equitable literacy is the development of the skills that enable educators to recognize, respond to conditions that deny some students access to educational and other opportunities enjoyed by their peers. Well, that's it for school news. The students are always learning, and thanks to all the educators who share their school news with us. Now let's go to Ron Marshalsea with the latest in sports.
I'm Ron Marshalsea, and this is your sports update. Girls basketball lost to Westwood but had a thrilling win over Millis 35-33. Junior Trisha Wachowski hit the game-winning shot off a great inbound pass from Lauren Reen with 0.9 seconds left in the game. The girls' next game is at Medway Friday the 13th at 6:30. After a very close loss to Westwood, the boys' basketball team has bounced back with 2 back-to-back wins, beating Lincoln Sudbury 57-51 and Millis 96-52. Ryan Kelly and Jason Fennell scored career highs in the Millis game. Their next game is versus Medway at home Friday the 13th at 6:30. Gymnastics had their very first home meet against Medfield, which ended in a loss. They get a rematch with the Warriors in Medfield this Saturday the 14th at 4 p.m. In hockey news, the girls tied with Canton 1-1 and beat Mansfield 5-2 this week. Goals in the Mansfield win were scored by sophomores Molly Roach, Ava Hines, and Michaela Brown, with 2 goals scored by senior captain Morgan Roach. The girls' next game is home at the Skating Club of Boston against King Philip Saturday the 14th at 4 o'clock. The boys have been on a roll lately, getting wins over both Westwood 4-1 and Medway 6-1. Junior Anthony Amato had 20 saves for the Mustangs in the win against Westwood, and in the Medway win, goals were scored by sophomore TJ Martin, juniors Sam Lally and Eddie Carroll, and senior captains Sean Dittmeyer, Kevin Broderick, and Connor Lydon. Both Anthony Amato and senior Michael Walsh had great games in net. Their next game will be at home versus Dedham Wednesday the 18th at 5. The swim and dive teams both had tough losses to Norton and Catholic Memorial this week. Their next matchup is at Ashland Friday the 13th, 5 p.m. for the girls and 7 p.m. for the boys. The boys track and field team lost to Westwood this week, but look to get the winning going again when they travel to Medfield on Friday, January 27th at 4:30. The girls track team's next meet is against Westwood Wednesday the 18th at 5 o'clock. And finally, the wrestling team had a tough loss to Hopkinton this week, but they look to bounce back when they head to Oliver Ames High School for a quad meet this Saturday, the 14th at 10 a.m. And that is it for this sports update. I'm Ron Marshalsea. And Norwood News will be right back after this break. Norwood Community Media has its own video on-demand channels. You can go to our website, norwoodcommunitymedia.org, and click on whichever on-demand channel you are looking for, whether it be things to do in the community, events at the schools, or town government meetings. Once you click on one, you are going to be taken to a screen in which you can search for stories or videos you missed on TV or just want to watch again. Just click on the search bar on top of the page and start typing. Once you've found what you're looking for, just click in the middle of the video where the play button is and you are off enjoying one of the 3 on-demand channels NCM has to offer.
The town clerk's office announced this week that the town election will be held on Monday, April 3rd this year, and that nomination papers are available in the town clerk's office. Requirements for filing nomination papers include: major offices need 50 signatures of qualified voters, and anyone wishing to run for town meeting must collect 10 signatures of qualified voters in their precinct. Nomination papers must be submitted to the town clerk's office by Monday, February 13th by 5 p.m. In government news, Norwood's planning board met on Monday night, where the board voted unanimously to approve an Aston Martin dealership where Direct Tire once was, across from the Dean Street Car Wash. Ernie Pasakowski, chair of the board, added a written condition before the vote based on a letter received by the board.
The applicant is asking for a special permit from the planning board for 3 sections of the bylaw: 3.15 D1, 3.15 H8, 3.15 H2. This, as I said before, is the old Direct Tire location. It does not trigger site plan approval, so we won't be getting into that. I do just want to enter into the record a letter we received from John Shelby. Mr. Attorney Ahern, you got a copy of this? It says, "Hi Sarah, I hope this email finds you well. My name is John Shelby and I am an abutter to the subject property located 961-981 Boston Providence Turnpike. My business is located at 199 Dean Street, Norwood. The purpose of this letter is to offer my full support for Mr. Argonos, in the future Austin Martin dealership, subject to there being a written condition that the washing and detailing of cars will only be allowed for vehicles the Aston Martin dealership is actively servicing or selling, and that no retail car washing may be permitted."
Move to approve.
Cite the three sections.
Cite the three sections, and there is that one condition. What was that condition?
That the car washing of cars would only pertain to the business.
Okay.
At this point, then, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Unanimous, 5-0.
With the condition. Thank you very much.
With the condition. Thank you. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
The Board of Selectmen met Tuesday night. At the close of the meeting, Selectman Helen Donahue announced that she would not be seeking re-election.
I've been on the board now for over 21 years, and it's been not just the board, it's been a lifetime. Like, this is my 55th year in a row of being a town meeting representative. And being in government and going to town meetings started when I was 10 or 12 years old. And but there comes a time in your life where it's okay, I'm trying to say it's okay to say thank you very much to everybody for letting me serve this long. But in April, I'm going to finish my term, God willing, I'll finish my term. And then in April, I won't be on the ballot for re-election, because I think that it would be time to let someone else have a chance to serve, and let someone else have a chance to help out the town of Norwood. But I plan to stay on as a town meeting representative, and I plan to stay on helping as much as I possibly can to preserve. I see my job is to preserve the quality, the wonderful quality of life that we have in this town now. And I still have a job to do all that I possibly can to make sure that we try and keep Norwood as a town, try and keep it as the crown jewel of the Commonwealth, not to let it be a city, and just to help others, which has been really an entire job of my life, more than before I was a selectman. So, thank you, everybody.
All of us at NCM wish Mrs. Donahue a happy and healthy retirement from the Board of Selectmen and thank her for her many years of public service to the town of Norwood. The Selectmen meet again on January 24th. The school committee met at the Savage Center Wednesday night, where members Teresa Stewart and Dr. Joan Giblin had a prolonged discussion about whether or not the committee would delegate Superintendent Thompson to handle donations for the project of a new outdoor sensory area for the Cleveland School. Dr. Giblin made the motion to have the superintendent be delegated. The discussion ended with a vote of 5-0 to accept the donations only after Dr. Giblin retracted her initial motion.
I'm actually going to put forth a different proposal. I'd like to delegate the ability to accept donations for this particular project to the superintendent for the duration.
Or can we do that with for our policies? Yep.
We can delegate authority.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm thinking about, like, it does not appear that anybody on the committee has an opposition to this. And I think it will just slow things down. If every time they get a donation that they're going to use for this, it has to come to us.
So I would say that, yeah, so I completely understand where you would want to delegate in the case that we don't have to accept every $50 donation, because it's not to us until the PTO comes to us and says, here's your 10 grand, your 15 grand.
We accept a donation that's earmarked for a particular thing. we can't use the money for anything else.
Right.
Right.
So if we accept 15,000 and it's gonna cost 30,000, and let's say the project ends up, we can only use that 15,000 for that particular project.
That's
So
not true.
That
That
is
should be the intent, but
nonprofit
that's
law.
not, no, it's not the law, and it's not the
That's
policy that
nonprofit
we
law.
just approved. So if they need to, they can fundraise, if we approve tonight the fundraise, they can fundraise all year long through whatever means
Yes.
they would like to. But then before, if they do the step one of tearing down the current playground and putting in the sidewalks, before they can expend the money that they fundraise, the donation has to come to the school committee, and we have to accept the donation.
We don't actually have to accept the donation even yearly. We can wait until they have the money. So if step one is going to cost $30,000, they can come with $30,000 if that takes 2.5 years. And that's when we accept it.
But we're not really accepting the money,
Right.
we're accepting the outdoor sensory area.
No. So this was the whole policy, KCD. They cannot expend the money until the donation has been accepted by the school committee. So if we give approval for the fundraising, they can fundraise all year. And then if they donate the money whenever they want to, we accept the donation. Karen does whatever Karen does in her business office. That money goes into whatever fund is the appropriate fund. It's earmarked, and the intent is definitely for this purpose, but it cannot be expended. They can't take down the playground, they can't put in the sidewalks until the money has been accepted, and then the money, once accepted, is expended through the business office. And this should be done in conjunction with facilities.
And I don't disagree with any of that. My point is if we accept a $15,000 donation and it costs $30,000 to do it, once we've accepted that donation that's earmarked for a particular project, we cannot use it for anything else. So my point is that we should not be accepting on a chronological timeline. We should be accepting on a project-based timeline, not year by year. And I would prefer to just delegate it to Dave to bring it back to us at particular points in time. It does not seem that that's the will of the committee. But if we accept $15,000, not if they fundraise $15,000, if we accept $15,000 and it ends up costing $30,000, we cannot use that $15,000 for anything else.
But once you accept it as a donation for a sensory area proposal at Cleveland, then it has to be used for the sensory area at Cleveland, unless they bring it as a different donation. But right now, I think you're just accepting that you're okay with them fundraising.
Yeah, that we're okay with the fundraising proposal.
Right.
I do suspect they will come to us in year one with a certain amount of money to be able to clear the area, add the walkways, whatever they're assuming that would cost, because, and then in years 2 through 4, come back to us with adding the sensory. That's what how I'm reading this. Right. But
Which
you're
is
right.
why I'd like to just delegate the authority to the person who's going to be operationally in charge of it.
I fundamentally don't have a problem with Dave accepting the donations as long as they are going into the correct Cleveland PTO account so that it's being expended from the business office and not from the PTO.
So we have to chime in when it's going to be expended.
Sorry?
It wouldn't be Cleveland PTO.
No, I'm sorry, the Cleveland account.
You know what, I'm just going to retract my motion. We're spending an extraordinary amount of time over an attempt to be operationally more efficient, and we've probably spent more time arguing over it than we need to. So I'm going to retract my motion. It's no longer on the table.
Motion to approve the PTO fundraising proposal.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Teresa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that's 5-0.
Also during the school committee meeting, Dr. Thompson announced that after a long career in the Norwood Public School System, Assistant Superintendent Dr. Alec Wyeth will be retiring at the end of June.
And then the other bit of news I have to share, which I think is not a terrible secret, but we're going to make it official, and it is with a heavy heart that I have to announce that my colleague, esteemed colleague, Dr. Wyeth, is going to retire the end of June after a long and storied career here in Norwood.
Stories that will remain untold.
Right. Well, I know there is this thing about he doesn't want a big thing, but I already have a long list, and I've only had the chance to work with him for 6 years, so I can imagine what others will have to say. We are going to create a timeline for that search to try and replace Alec. And I probably will say more as we get closer to the end. I'm not going to cry on TV today.
All of us at NCM want to thank Dr. Wyeth for all he has done for education and the students in Norwood, and we wish him well as he begins a new chapter in life. I've had the special privilege of working closely with Dr. Wyeth, and he is such a good person and is incredibly passionate about education and about students. He will definitely be missed. The director of the Senior Center, Carrie McCarthy, chatted with NCM, and let's see what's in store for the seniors in the month of January.
Hi everyone, Happy New Year. Carrie McCarthy here, the director of the Norwood Senior Center. Welcome to 2023. First and foremost, I want to let folks know that we are still helping people fill out their fuel assistance application. If you need information on this program, please call our outreach coordinator, Kathleen Rooney, and she will happily walk you through the process. Also, we are now accepting appointment slots for the AARP tax preparers. They will return to the center in February to help folks 55 and older with their taxes. If you need an appointment, please give the center a call and we will happily schedule it for you. But do it quickly because appointments are filling up fast. On January 23rd, Michelle Alex from the Registry of Motor Vehicles will be here to talk about the Real ID. Now we know that the guidelines have been postponed for a few more years, but it is important that you come learn about all the documents that you need to get this Real ID in process. Also on January 27th, we are going to have a fun event here with an impersonator. We have Joey Voices, who has been here before, and he's always been well received, come perform for us at 1 o'clock. So make sure you guys call and get on the list for that. We are sure that you all got some new tablets and cell phones for the holidays. The library will be here to help with the tech drop-in class on January 13th and January 27th. So again, just give us a call and we will give you more information on that. If you need anything, please don't hesitate during these winter months to give us a call. And also, if you need your newsletter mailed to you, just send us a check for $10 and we will get it in the mail for you. Thank you and have a great 2023.
Before we go, last week we covered a Norwood High basketball doubleheader and it turned into a fun NCM reunion. The live broadcast was staffed by an alumni crew who are home on break from college. Tim Rose, a senior at Syracuse, Brendan Bartuker, junior at Quinnipiac, Maggie Federico, freshman at Endicott, Erin Sullivan, freshman at Bryant, and Allie Parkinson and Dory Theos, who are both freshmen at UNH. We hope this starts a new tradition at NCM, and we wish them all well in their upcoming semester. Well, that's all for Norwood News. To stay up to date with Norwood Community Media, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend.